If you meet someone today, and you look them up online, actually, wait, we all do that,
Oh,
right?
absolutely. Oh, it's basically a reflex at this point.
Right. So you look them up and you can't find a single photo of their face.
Yeah,
Your very first instinct is probably, it's usually suspicion.
definitely.
In a culture where visibility is basically treated like currency, absolute digital silence just feels, well, alarming.
It really does.
You might assume they're, I don't know, incredibly insecure or just hopelessly shy or like actively hiding something from the world.
Like they're in witness protection or
Yes,
something.
exactly. But when you look at the actual psychology behind people who refuse to post pictures of themselves on social media, the reality flips completely upside down.
It really does. It's fascinating.
Being digitally invisible isn't a flaw. It's actually a marker of like profound emotional intelligence and deep-seated confidence.
Yeah, I mean, it completely challenges, the baseline assumptions of our modern attention economy.
Yeah.
We've been heavily conditioned to view a lack of broadcasting as a deficit.
Oh, for sure.
If you aren't like visually documenting your existence, the cultural assumption is that your existence must not be very interesting.
Yeah, Pixar didn't happen. Right.
Exactly. But peeling back the layers on this behavior reveals a highly intentional and honestly incredibly secure mindset that just actively rejects the entire premise.
And that is exactly what we are dissecting today in this deep dive. We are pulling insights from a breakdown by the YouTube channel No Sense.
Yeah, specifically their piece titled Psychology of People Who Don't Post Their Photos on Social Media.
Right. And our mission today is to understand the mechanics of this digitally quiet mind. So, okay, let's unpack this.
Let's do it.
Because at the foundational level, this entire behavior comes down to a radical shift in how a person handles privacy and validation.
Right.
We are so used to the idea that personal moments are public commodities.
Which is why psychologists identify these non-posters as having a high privacy orientation.
Okay, high privacy orientation.
Yeah. And in behavioral terms, this doesn't mean they are like antisocial misanthropes retreating to a cabin in the woods.
Right, they still have friends.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It just means they place a premium value on controlling the boundary between their internal world and the external public.
They protect that space.
Fiercely. They recognize that the moment you share a photo, you are, inviting evaluation, judgment.
Commentary.
Exactly. You are opening a feedback loop. And people with a high privacy orientation simply prefer to keep that loop closed.
It's the difference between standing on a stage with a megaphone to read your diary out loud.
Oh, that's a good way to put it.
Right, versus keeping that diary locked in a desk drawer. They just prefer the intimacy of the locked drawer.
Yeah, they really do.
But, I have to push back a little on how society interprets that boundary.
Okay, go ahead.
Because we are basically trained to distrust the locked drawer.
We really are.
If someone doesn't have a curated grid of vacation photos and selfies, my immediate culturally conditioned reaction is like, are they a catfish? Right.
We equate a lack of visual posting with a lack of transparency. Like they must be hiding something.
We do. And what's fascinating here is that suspicion reveals a lot more about our collective conditioning than it does about their mental state.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, the psychological mechanism at play here isn't about deception at all. It is entirely about the source of human validation.
Okay, break that down for me.
Well, for the vast majority of active social media users, the validation loop is heavily externalized.
Right.
You post a picture, you receive a quantifiable metric of approval. like a like or a comment.
And your brain gets that hit.
Exactly, a spike of dopamine. And over time, your self-esteem becomes tethered to that external crowd. You are basically outsourcing your self-worth to an algorithm.
Wow.
But non-posters, they operate on self-validation.
So they bypass the crowd completely.
Completely.
Like they can achieve something great or honestly just have a really good hair day.
Yeah.
And the internal knowledge of that fact is entirely sufficient for them.
Yes. They don't have to launch like a micro experiment online to test the hypothesis of their own worth.
Precisely. And that is a massive indicator of inner security.
Right, because their dopamine reward system isn't being hijacked by a tech platform.
Exactly. When you don't require external metrics to prop up your mood, your emotional state is no longer volatile
You aren't riding the high of a viral post.
or suffering the crash of an ignored one.
Yeah.
You just generate your own baseline of contentment.
Which naturally forces us to look at what's happening underneath that contentment.
Right.
If someone isn't constantly looking outward to a crowd to figure out if they're valuable, they must have a pretty solid framework built internally.
Absolutely.
And here's where it gets really interesting. The psychological analysis in our source points to this concept called self-concept clarity.
Yes, self-concept clarity. It's a really fascinating metric in cognitive psychology.
What does it measure exactly?
It measures how confidently, consistently, and clearly a person defines their own traits, values, and identity.
Hmm.
And people who refrain from posting their lives online consistently score exceptionally high in this area.
They just know who they are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They possess what is known as secure self-esteem.
Secure self-esteem.
Yeah. Because their understanding of who they are is temporally stable, meaning it doesn't wildly fluctuate from day to day.
Right.
So they simply don't need a comment section to confirm their identity for them.
I picture self-concept clarity like a massive heavy iron anchor on a ship.
Oh, I like that.
Because the social media landscape is this chaotic storm, right?
Yeah.
Algorithms are constantly shifting.
New aesthetics are trending every single week.
Right, and there's this relentless pressure to rebrand yourself to stay relevant.
Yeah, it's exhausting. Yeah.
Most people are out there like a leaf blowing in that wind, just adopting a new personality because a certain type of video got 1 million views.
Exactly.
But the person with high self-concept clarity is the anchored ship.
Right.
The trends are flying by, the storm is raging, but they don't move. They don't chase the wind because they are fundamentally grounded.
And that grounding changes everything about their behavior. I mean, the algorithm is literally designed to create movement.
Yes, it wants you reacting.
Right. It wants you to feel a subtle sense of inadequacy, so you'll try the new filter. Or buy the promoted product.
Or post a more flattering angle to keep up.
Exactly. But secure self-esteem neutralizes that manipulation.
Wow.
Your confidence doesn't require constant maintenance or public attention to survive, so the pressure to perform your life just completely evaporates.
But okay, let me play devil's advocate for a second.
Sure.
Because if you talk to someone who posts, say, 10 highly curated photos a day, documenting every outfit, every meal, every gym session,
Yeah.
they would absolutely argue that they have perfect self-concept clarity.
Oh, without it.
They would say, I know exactly what my personal brand is. I know exactly who I am.
Right.
So what is the actual mechanical difference between their mindset and the mindset of the digitally invisible person?
Well, the mechanical difference lies between performing an identity and genuinely possessing one.
Performing versus possessing.
Exactly. The highly active poster is frequently using their audience as a real-time focus group to calibrate their identity.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. If a certain style of post gets massive engagement, they internalize that as, this is who I am.
And if it flops,
They experience a crisis of identity and pivot. Their self-concept isn't an anchor. It is a mirror, reflecting the crowd's real-time preferences.
so it's fragile.
It is highly fragile.
So they're essentially crowdsourcing their personality.
Yes.
And if the crowd changes its mind, their identity just collapses.
Exactly. Crowdsourced identity is inherently unstable. Genuine self-concept clarity, however, means your identity is forged through real-world friction.
Right.
Intrinsic experiences. You know you are a supportive friend, a dedicated worker, or a creative thinker because of your tangible actions.
Because you actually do those things in real life.
Exactly. It's entirely independent of whether anyone double taps a photo of your face.
Right.
And consequently, these individuals experience vastly less anxiety. They aren't approval seeking.
Their cognitive energy is freed up.
Yes, to focus on tangible, real-world goals rather than managing a digital mirage.
And because that internal anchor is so heavy, it dictates how they process the world around them.
It really does.
It fundamentally alters their decision-making process. And this connects to another cognitive trait highlighted in the source analysis that I think explains so much of their day-to-day behavior.
You're talking about the internal locus of evaluation.
Yes, an internal locus of evaluation.
The internal locus of evaluation is a critical piece of this puzzle.
It's so important.
It refers to the internal rubric a person uses to judge their own actions and worth.
Okay.
Instead of measuring their success against the ever-changing and honestly often fabricated standards of the crowd.
Which would be an external locus, right?
Exactly. Instead of doing that, they evaluate themselves strictly by their own personal standards.
Right.
They decide what makes a day successful, what makes an interaction meaningful, and what constitutes a life well lived.
And because of that internal rubric, they end up being deeply introspective thinkers rather than performative show-offs.
Yes.
They process things internally before speaking. They only share information when it holds genuine meaning to them, not just because it fulfills a daily posting quota.
Right, they aren't feeding the machine.
And I love this analogy for it. Operating on an internal locus of evaluation is like being a Michelin star chef who chooses to sit down for one carefully prepared, intensely flavorful meal.
Oh, I love that.
Right.
Yeah.
That meal represents an authentic, deep, real-world conversation.
That's a powerful way to frame it because it contrasts so sharply with the alternative.
Right. The alternative is constantly, mindlessly snacking on bags of empty-calorie junk food all day long,
Yeah.
which is the equivalent of superficial likes, quick emojis, and those fleeting digital interactions.
Exactly.
It's not that the non-poster necessarily hates the snacks, it's that they recognize the snacks offer zero actual nourishment. They want the real meal. But, I can hear people listening to this and wondering if this crosses the line into arrogance.
Oh, absolutely. That comes up a lot.
Right. Is there a sense of superiority here? Do they just think social media is beneath them and they are too intellectual for a photo app?
It's a very common assumption. But looking at the psychology, it isn't rooted in snobbery or an elitist complex at all.
Right.
It's just an entirely different cognitive operating system. If we connect this to the bigger picture, possessing an internal locus of evaluation relieves a massive psychological burden.
How so?
Think about the sheer cognitive load required to maintain a highly active public persona today.
It's a lot.
You are essentially acting as the CEO, creative director, and PR manager for a brand called you.
Yeah, you really are.
You have to obsess over lighting, angles, captions, timing, and engagement metrics.
It's an exhausting, unpaid second job.
Exactly. It's perpetual labor. When your evaluation comes entirely from within, you are legally emancipated from that labor.
Wow.
Yeah. You don't have to constantly optimize your existence for public consumption. You just get to exist.
Right.
So the lack of posting isn't arrogance. It is simply the natural byproduct of not needing to manage a PR campaign for your own life.
Just getting to exist without constantly proving you exist.
Yeah.
That is a radically peaceful concept. And because they aren't bogged down by managing that personal PR firm, their vision isn't clouded.
Not at all.
They are uniquely positioned to see right through the artificial rubrics created by tech companies. They can spot the manipulation in the architecture of the platforms themselves.
Which brings us to the psychological framework of social comparison theory.
Right, social comparison theory.
Leon Festinger developed this theory decades ago to explain how humans determine their own social and personal worth based on how they stack up against others.
Which is pretty natural, right?
Exactly. In a natural, real-world environment, this is a relatively manageable biological drive. You compare yourself to a small tribe of people around you.
But social media has taken social comparison theory and weaponized it on a global scale.
Weaponized is the perfect word.
Yeah.
The platforms distort reality into an endless algorithmic feed of extreme highlight reels.
Yeah.
Our brains are not evolved to process the absolute best, highly filtered, top 1% moments of thousands of acquaintances simultaneously.
Right, it's just too much.
We end up comparing our mundane, everyday, behind-the-scenes reality to everyone else's curated peak experiences.
Which is so unfair to ourselves.
It is a devastating psychological trap that breeds perpetual inadequacy.
No.
But individuals who choose not to post actively recognize this digital illusion for exactly what it is.
So what does this all mean for their daily lives?
Well,
Because I look at this realization like figuring out a complex magic trick.
okay.
When you are a kid watching a magician levitate an object, you are totally mesmerized.
Sure.
You believe the magic is real, but you also feel a slight sense of inadequacy because you don't possess magical powers. But eventually you grow up, you study the trick, you see the hidden wires, the trapdoors, the mirrors.
You see how it works.
Yeah, and once you see the wires, you can never unsee them. The illusion loses all its power over you.
It's a great analogy.
These digitally quiet individuals aren't avoiding the platform because they are afraid they can't compete in the magic show. They're avoiding it because they see the wires holding the whole thing up,
Right.
and they just refuse to pretend the magic is real.
And that refusal is a highly conscious, defensive strategy. This raises an important question about how much of our modern anxiety is generated by a game we are opting into, but don't actually have to play.
We really don't have to play it.
No. By staying low-key, by refusing to enter their own photos into that toxic, endless comparison cycle, they are actively preserving their mental health.
Yeah.
They are making a daily, deliberate choice. Peace over performance.
Wow.
They inherently understand that being perceived by thousands of strangers does not equate to being truly seen or understood.
Peace over performance. That is the ultimate distillation of this entire mindset.
It really is.
So let's bring all of these threads together. The next time you are scrolling through your contacts or you look someone up and realize their digital footprint is completely devoid of selfies or life updates,
Yeah,
you have to resist that immediate cultural urge to label them as awkward, shy, or suspicious.
definitely.
Because if we trust the psychological mechanism we've explored today, the reality is that the quietest person in your feed is likely the most grounded.
Absolutely.
They possess a level of emotional intelligence, inner security, and self-awareness that vastly outpaces the loudest voices shouting into the digital void.
They have short-circuited the external validation loop.
Right.
They operate with a rock-solid self-concept. They judge themselves by an internal locus of evaluation, and they have successfully opted out of the weaponized social comparison trap.
It's impressive.
It is. Choosing digital invisibility isn't a symptom of low confidence.
Ah.
It is perhaps the ultimate, quietest expression of supreme confidence.
It truly is a superpower hiding in plain sight.
Yeah.
And for you listening, understanding the mechanics behind this behavior is a perfect invitation to run a little audit on your own digital habits.
Highly recommend that.
The next time you open an app to post a photo, just pause for 3 seconds and investigate the impulse.
Right. Ask yourself why.
Exactly. Are you posting because you genuinely want to share a moment of joy with your actual friends?
Yeah.
Or are you posting because you are feeling a slight dip in your self-esteem and you are trying to crowdsource a validation that you should be providing for yourself?
It's a profound distinction to make. Uncovering the why behind our digital actions, whether we are sharing an experience or simply begging the algorithm for an identity, changes everything about our relationship with modern technology.
It completely rewires how you interact with the world.
It really does.
And as we wrap up this exploration, I want to leave you with one final provocative thought experiment to mull over.
Okay.
Building directly on this idea of an internal locus of evaluation and finding peace over performance.
I love this.
Imagine if tomorrow morning you woke up and social media had completely vanished off the face of the earth,
Just gone.
taking every carefully curated photo, all of your followers, and every single like you've ever accumulated right along with it.
Wow.
If all of that external digital evidence of your existence was suddenly gone, how would your internal measure of your own success and happiness change?
That's a huge question.
Would you still know exactly who you are without the crowd telling you?